very nice one. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm for myself alone, who am I? If not now, when? Which is a saying from a very old Jewish sage, Hillel, in the 1st century. And it takes some time to understand what he really says. You can only lead if there are people to lead. And if there are people to lead, you can take that role, but at the same time you're led again by other people in the direction. So it's reciprocal. If there's no group, there's no leader. If there's only a leader, there's the group. But this is about leadership, and I think what you did already, we'll use that later in our exercise when you go to small group. Jana.
So, the next question. Leadership skills cannot be taught. Yes or no? Does it work?
Maybe not a question.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, we can use the partner post.
True is red.
If you say true, please raise red. And if you say false, then please green on.
False is green?
I think, wait. False is green?
Yeah.
Okay.
Change the question.
Oh, wait.
Yes. Okay, if you think leadership skills can be taught, okay, please raise the green one. If you think the answers, please raise the red one. So you think cannot be taught, right? Okay. So most of the people say, yeah, it can be taught.
At least part.
Can you tell us why you show the red card? Why you think leadership skills cannot be taught?
Well, must I stand up?
Stand up and turn around.
It was radical. It is not like this. Partly, evidently, you can be taught lots of things, and if I'm here, it's because I'm sure that you will be able to teach me things which I don't know. But exist some qualities, personal qualities, which cannot be changed. If you are complete egoist, you will continue being complete egoist. And though you know these tactics, and you know that you must be humilde. Humble. You must be humble. You must help people to grow up with you, but not use them like slaves for that. You grown up. If you were born unluckily for you, like this person, you will never change, though you know these tactics.
Okay, thank you. That's a clear explanation that you feel that there has to be something in yourself which will enable you to grow and learn.
Or able you to grow.
Enable you to grow. Yes, okay.
And the next question, I skipped the program, so we will use the cards. Are all managers are leaders? If you say yes, please raise the green one. And if you say no, the red one. Does anyone say yes?
Excuse me, I didn't understand. Can you repeat the question?
So you think all the managers are leaders? Is it true?
Sorry.
So we don't have any green one.
the question, what is the difference between a leader and a manager? Trying to focus on the different aspects of leadership, like we talked in the definitions, and what you already said a little bit in your characteristics. So make the difference between a leader and a manager. 3 minutes.
Manager can be an asshole, leader can't.
That's amazing. You said leader inspire you to do something. Manager make you do something. That's amazing.
Amazing. Revelation?
Yeah, revelation. She said to me that leader inspire you to do something, but manager ask you to do something because you have to do that. And that's slightly differences, but that's what makes leader true leader. And manager just manager. You have to do that, and that.
Chloe? Yeah. That's my idea.
That's her idea. That's amazing.
So, is Chloe a leader or a manager?
She feels like she's just a manager, but I think she's leader. And sometimes I think that you can choose to be a leader. The other around you tell you that you're a leader, and you step up because not because you want to, but because they push you to.
Any thoughts?
Ignore her, yes. I'm ignoring her.
Okay, I'm ignoring you.
You are not, you are not exist.
Now, short reports. Now I'll start now at the second row. Who of the second row? Yes, Christopher.
So there's this saying that a manager gets the things done right, but the leader gets the right things done. So that means the manager gets the things done right, but the leader gets the right things done. So you give it to the manager and he does it in a very good way. But which things we have to do?
Okay. Let's skip 2 rows to the 5th row.
That's
you. Someone from the last row? That corner there?
So we also had the impression that the manager would manage the group and get the best out of everything, and if he does a good job, would get them to get to the same direction and the same vision. But this is the difficult part, and then it would be a good thing, but really difficult. While a leader, he more shows the way and hopes to inspire people which follow his vision. And we made we compared it like in a developing country where you would install a democracy, which might be a good thing, but it's more difficult to do things efficiently. While if you would have a dictator at this spot who guides the way with the good vision, it actually might get things efficiently done. But it's still the discussion, what's the good thing?
Yes. Interesting discussion.
Managers, dictators. Leaders to dictators.
Yeah.
Benevolent dictators.
Someone before you there. Okay, that's from the third row. Come on, speak up.
Yes,
Can
there's
you stand?
something nice that I've learned lately. I think a manager would stand on the side and see how the crew would carry the carriage, while a leader would go there with the crew and help them carrying the carriage towards the right destination. So it's about the team spirit, I think.
That's nice.
We talked about managers being doing the day-to-day work of, say, running the business or running the practice, statistics, problems, human resources, that type of thing. Whereas a leadership will very much manage the direction and the decision to change. To take an example of UK general practice, where you have a GP partnership model, GPs who are leading and providing the direction, but they will employ a practice manager who does a lot of the day-to-day running.
Okay, good. Next one, please.
The leader gets his power from the bottom up, and the manager gets his power from the top to the bottom.
Thank you for that. I think if I listen to you and Candan is writing it down, to reflect on that, you see in the coming slides, it's more or less the same. Leadership is about asking questions, what and why, and it's about empowering people. This is the direction where we go. Leaders work with people and their emotions. Managers ask how, and mainly work with processes, models, and systems to organize and to get it done, as you said. Somebody must have looked at this slide before. Managers do things right, but leaders do not do the right things. That's very good. You know your literature. And if you list this in a kind of a box like a manager administers, maintains, has a focus on systems, controls, accepts the current situation, because he has to do what has been decided, and has more or less a short range view, going to do things which are done now. And the leader is more innovation, development, focus on people and emotions, is to inspire people and challenges the way things are. Are we in fact doing the right things? And it looks much more further into the future. So, difference between leader and manager. I think you had him right. Candan, up to you again.
Okay. Now we are going to divide into 3 groups, and each group will work with a facilitator. But don't worry, you will work with all of us, because we are going to do a round at the end of each topic. We would like you to discuss characteristics of a leader, and then skills and knowledge of a leader in healthcare setting, and national, European, and world level. Please go ahead. And in the last part, we would like you to discuss training program format. How a program would be nice to run in the Aspire Global Leadership Program. So please divide into 3 groups, and each topic will be discussed for 8 minutes. Yeah, go.
So we'll have
One over here.
Yes, one over here.
It doesn't matter which group you are now, because we are going to do round turn at the end of each topic.
one here in the middle and then one on that side. So just divide yourself in reasonably equal numbers. Yeah. I already told you.
You have privilege to have the flip charts.
Let's drop in.
Yes.
So again, first, okay, in answering the first question of the definition, you already made a list of some of the characteristics, but we might put them on again. Keep them short. Let's go.
Characteristic of leader. Vision.
Charisma.
Inspirational.
Not too fast.
Inspiration.
Charismatic.
Right, one word at a time.
Charismatic.
And then
Yeah.
you say like difficult words. Charismatic.
Yeah, yeah.
Charismatic, inspired.
Decision maker.
Yeah.
But I will follow that up by listening.
Listening.
Both.
Innovator.
Elevator?
Innovator.
Like elevator?
It's a good one.
Yeah, I was like.
Huh? Empathy. Listening.
Trusted.
Perfect. God.
The clarity, clear vision, not sort of direction. Clarity.
Just clear. Clear cut.
Determinated.
Sorry?
Yeah, the same.
I was going to say being able to get the best out of the group you're leading. It's not it's not just the leader doing everything.
Determinato.
It's like open-minded.
And also self-reflection.
It's open mind.
That you know how to.
That's it.
Open mind you have already.
Hey, already.
No, that you can also sometimes say, oh, now I actually did something wrong. You also look at what
Humility.
Self-reflective. Yeah. I maybe add versatile. And by that I mean being able to adapt to different people, different situations. The same method doesn't work in every situation all the time. Or with different people. So versatile,
Versatile.
yeah.
Versatile, yeah.
Versatile.
Self-belief.
How I
Self-estimate.
self
High self-estimation.
self-estimation.
High
that can be a bad character.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It can be bad.
There's a fine line between that and arrogance.
So maybe you should put humble next to that.
Yeah, exactly.
High self-esteem is also
Humble self-esteem.
humble.
But say that some arrogant people can make change happen. It's very fun.
We're not going to ask for examples.
I don't know what the short way to say, but able to lead by example. So setting a good example, role model. Yeah, perfect.
How do you call it?
role
model.
Something subtly different. Being willing to do whatever they ask of somebody else. So a good leader won't ask them to do something that they won't be happy to do themselves.
Ask someone else to do
That's
something.
all.
Be willing to do yourself.
in one word.
Sorry, you can only put that in a phrase.
It's a bit like empathic also.
Empathy.
No.
This is a doctor.
Presence.
In other words,
Able-
several controls, but
Give presence.
someone who's visible, who doesn't shy away from responsibilities, there in times of need. So
Presence, yeah.
physical presence.
I think, like what you said, like taking responsibility, it's even more than, like, because you said he's the decision maker, but you have to assume
not
the
hiding it
decision.
behind him. Yeah. Times of good and bad moments, you'll be there no matter what. Leadership.
I'm not sure if this is really a characteristic
Presence,
of
but
a
also,
leader, but having there's something about the timing of being in the right place at the right time. Yeah, you can only lead in a situation if you're the person who's there.
It's hard to
situation. I don't know how
But
you
it's
phrase
hard
it.
to influence.
Yeah, I don't guess it's something the character of the person.
It's not always hard to influence someone.
Timing?
You have to create it.
Yeah, to
Timing?
the right time.
I guess that's the vision, to recognise the timing.
This may have been alluded to earlier, but I think being approachable is important. You want your team to be able to bring problems, bring ideas, so that you can bring all that together and move forward.
Holistic.
Disponible. I think approachable.
The bigger situation, the way to step back, when to trust your team. So looking like I guess it's open-minded, holistic.
What do you mean approachable?
Vision.
Holistic. And also probably communicative.
Yeah, but
sometimes maybe.
Do you mean by that the ability to communicate well?
Yes.
How would you, or is it a different word?
Sometimes
well, communicative sounds like talkative.
Good communicator.
Good communicator.
Yes, that's better. Good communicator.
Holistic, communicative.
Can we find such a person?
Hmm?
Can we find such a person with this list?
Ah.
I did.
Hypothetic. We should create them.
Well, I think everybody will have more of the strengths than others, and different styles of leadership are important in different situations.
Okay, I'm going to leave you now, move to another book. I think what you see is, look back to the discussion we had, can leadership be taught? Some people said there are things you have to have in your own, or things which can be developed. So the next question for this group with one of my next facilitators is, okay, list skills and make a list of knowledge. What a leader should to know about this, the healthcare situation he starts working in. He has to lead. Because leadership skills on its own, without the content, is something like selling something on the market you really don't know what you're selling. So that's for the next. I will move.
רונן, מה הם רצו להגיד בעיטות? זה ללמד או לנגוע? ללמד בעיטות. אפשר, כן, למה לא? אני חושב שכן, אתה לא?
חלק לא.
יש מישהו שנולד בשביל זה. כן, והוא... כמו פרס, הוא נולד לזה.
If I can maybe start off, I think it's really important for a leader to have a knowledge of the organisation they're leading and what's in it. That's obvious. We have a new Prime Minister in the UK, and one of the things that was on the news that the reasons that the civil servants, the government employees really liked the way she worked was that she knew the brief inside out, she did their homework, had gone through all the detail of what was in it, and then was able to ask pertinent questions and then lead and make decisions because she knew what everything was about.
Informed.
What's that?
Be informed.
You know that every person who is working in McDonald's, as high as all the top manager level, every one of them has to have at least one day of doing burgers and making French fries. They have to do it. It's mandatory, so they know what they're talking about, even when they're not.
Okay. Hi. So you've been discussing the characteristics.
Yeah, taking your page.
So have you already?
It's yours?
Yeah. We're live on the start page.
You're filming.
So it's not recording. We're live. It's not recorded.
It's usually published on the internet.
So the idea now is you've been talking about general characteristics. And the idea now is to think a little bit more about the healthcare setting, because there are general characteristics of leadership, and then there are specific things that are needed in a healthcare setting, skills, knowledge that facilitate you to be a better leader in healthcare. So that's where we want to go now.
So I think in my UK, I think there's a big push now for a lot of doctors to become managers, because essentially they work on the shop floor, so they can see patients day in, day out, and different challenges and obstacles. So having a real working knowledge of the system is very important to then manage the system and then lead. Look at UK, for example, our health minister has got a medical background, he's never really worked in a particular hospital before. So a real kind of experience of working within the system is probably a strong foundation.
So having clinical experience of
being
working.
there, kind of
Continue having.
But it needs to not necessarily have to be
After 5 years.
doesn't need to be a doctor necessarily, but someone who who knows what the kind of the micro kind of challenge, and not kind of what people tell them.
I just want to come here for a second because you had a point to expand on that a little bit.
To not only have experience but also continue doing that, like with the French fry. Continue doing that because things change over time and you go higher and you go further away from the ground.
Can we call it field work or something like this?
Yeah, because if you move to a new organisation that might be different from what you've experienced before, the good leaders try to get to know everybody and what the organisation is about and how it works.
And that links back to what you were saying when you were talking about characteristics, like the McDonald's, someone who has had the metaphorical burger flipping experience.
It's the recognition of the different skill sets within the healthcare system. So the healthcare system isn't just doctors and nurses, it's finance experts, it's planning experts, it's public health experts. So there's something about being able to firstly recognise that your skill set isn't the only one that matters, and being able to somehow tie those things together.
So recognition and knowledge of the diversity of skill sets required.
Going on to also teams, hiring their teams, so teams you trust, who you can be your eyes and ears, essentially.
Choice in the healthcare setting.
But no, as a leader, you have some who have some who works underneath you, because they'll.
Depends.
Because you can't be everywhere at the same time.
I want to hear from non-UK. So,
I mean, in general, about if you hire teams, I mean, team leading, this is something you can actually read up in a book.
so
Just
if
the
it's
basic
more in our
methods.
first part.
Yeah, the basic skills about team leading and the methods you can use. So this is something you actually really can learn.
So it's knowledge.
It's knowledge.
Team building, team management.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more specific healthcare things you think are useful for leadership?
I don't know how to phrase it, but sometimes as people are richer and more influential, they as patients or as family of patients, they don't use the same system. Like they don't go to a public hospital, they don't go. So they even they are further away. They don't know what happens not on the physician side and on the patient side. they just manage it. But when they need someone, they go and pay someone, or they go to the best manager or the best doctor, and they don't know what happened as a patient. Sometimes as a patient, if I'm in a hospital and I see what happened as a patient, I start to think really differently on things. So if you don't use your own system as a patient also, you don't know it.
So user experience of your own health system can be a useful skill. Would that be
I don't know if it's a skill, but it's a decision.
But it's a knowledge maybe that you could acquire. So user experience.
Of being able to listen carefully to users, because I don't need to have a cancer to treat my patient who has a cancer. That's too much. But like I've never spent months in a hospital or something, but I can take the stories of the users.
So seeking feedback and listening to patients.
Just thinking of a specific healthcare setting, I think it's important for a leader to remember that at the center of what they're managing is patients. That's what they're doing it for.
Patient-centered leadership. Is that a new phrase? We'll have to find out.
Patient-centered approach.
Seem to be doing the job to make the books balanced, but the patient has to be in the mix of the decision.
So, healthcare systems are quite complex things. If you want to lead, because we've got different levels of leadership that we can think about in healthcare. We've got being a leader just with our personal patient list, being a leader within our practice, within our region or HMO or hospital or CCG, and then on a national level as well. So as we progress up that, what other skills do you think that healthcare leaders need in OneCo, in your country? What's the knowledge and the skills that they need to deliver effective leadership in those kind of areas?
Very basic one, language. I think it's important to have a language in which you can communicate what is its
Continuing update and course to let him to know what new and
okay, so continuing
formatting
professional development, CME, CPD.
A little bit like clinical experience, or is it something?
I think it's more keeping up to date with research, evidence.
yeah, and new treatment. So can he also suggest the best for the patient, the new solution, the new.
Once you start getting to national and international level, like being able to interact with politics, so having the skills to be able to deal with the way that politics is dealt with, because obviously it's a very different thing to patient interaction.
So when that's important, because I think we can expand on that a little bit. So being able to interact with politics, what kind of skills does a healthcare leader need to be able to interact with politics?
I was thinking along the same lines as Stuart, and I think a big thing is persuasiveness. A healthcare leader needs to be able to make others understand why it's important.
But we don't have to forget that all is about money, so we have to do like a structure, a good structure to balance between economic things and the patient.
Great, so we need to be patient-centered, but we also need to understand economics.
Yeah, because if not, no one is going to listen to your proposals.
Economics
and then the cases in the UK at the moment, political ideology comes ahead of these things. So it isn't really on the face of it, it's about money, but really it's an ideology about how a system should be run. And if you're in a place where that ideology is what is going to happen, you're going to need a healthcare setting in that place. You have to be able to work with that.
So you need to understand, what do we mean when we say left wing and right wing? What do we mean by liberal and neoliberal? You need to understand political ideologies, philosophies to be able to talk in their language and know what it is when you're suggesting something. Who's the right politician to suggest it to? Whose political ideology does your plan match up with?
I heard somewhere that medical
We move
research.
again.
You can continue discussing until your new facilitator shows up. It's okay. You can just leave it there. It's gonna stay right here.
Medical research
You are
I read
centrated.
somewhere that medical research is about long-term research. You wait for the data for 20 years and then you move a little bit to the left. And politicians, they don't wait. They want to decide now for tomorrow for their own people. Like they don't wait for the 20 years.
Things like the promotion and prevention plans, they don't succeed.
Welcome.
You can say.
Yeah, because then what it's important for them is the next
Yeah.
election.
Until the election comes.
Yeah, they've got 5 years to make their
Yeah.
history before
Yeah,
they're
so that's nonsense in health.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, we are going to discuss the third part. The best part that I like, we are going to talk about programs that we can develop.
Sorry, no. Again. I want to take another thing.
What kind of programs could be developed for improving leadership skills? What do you think?
Internships in the different levels. So that means like short-term internships also in like politics, decision-making process for policymakers in healthcare, but also maybe in pharmaceutical companies, in clinics, so that you can see, you know, as we mentioned before, you haven't been here, the burger flipping experience for everybody who works at McDonald's has to do some burger some days.
If we talk about like on a GP part, should I take this internship? You think?
Where?
Yes.
Yeah, in politics, I don't know.
Administration,
Administration, somewhere on the local level or maybe also even on the general level.
I think you can argue we do that earlier on and target students at medical school. Maybe introduce some kind of module or something just to kind of get an insight to the healthcare system, the different challenges. So at least all the doctors go into the NHS or the healthcare system have working knowledge of the system they work for. Because I think that's, especially in the UK, there's been a disconnect between how much people actually know how the NHS is a very complex system, what they know about it is. So they have a module, tutoring course, something like that.
I would like to point on something at that point. We are looking for future program to develop leadership skills. So if we get back to reality now, what kind of program do you expect from Aspire Global Leadership Program? Workshops or summer schools?
Yeah, I think more exchanges than so.
What kind of
one thing
exchanges?
That's a little bit long term.
Long-term exchanges?
Because if not, you are not going to get golden substance.
And in these exchanges, what would you like to do?
Well,
Research, observation?
No, I think being with the higher level of management, I don't know, maybe in the hospitals or maybe in the clinics and
Or to invite
family
them.
physician clinics or
To invite to make a lecture to us.
A lecture.
I think there's two aspects to learning leadership. One is kind of learning the theory and seeing how it's done well. But ultimately, you only really develop as a leader if you have a project to work on and lead. So while you could introduce with an internship or an exchange, etc., that it's really only going to make a difference and progress if there's some sort of
developing some
even
kind
at that higher level, if there's a small area that person can take and run with and lead themselves, that's really going to make a difference in getting those experience and skills.
So how can they get these experiences? Where and when?
Well,
We are trying to figure
Maybe
it out.
if there is a young doctor movement in the country, or like something that exists in GP movement, for example, to set up a small and like realistic program within a year that you can try to change something.
1 year program.
A 1 year or 2 year project.
1 year.
Try to do yourself and try to find people to help you. Like some simple question where you could like find maybe a solution for within a year or within 2 years, and then try to do this with this organization.
I'm not sure if this exists elsewhere in Europe, but there, in the UK there's a couple of programs for GPs. They have this scholarship program within the deaneries. So there was a leadership scholar, a research scholar, etc. So the leadership scholar would get some training, then they would have a project to lead, and they would extend their training program for a few months to be able to complete that.
Special leadership programs, you mean?
Like in the MBAs at the end, you do like a career.
And there was another program at the higher levels of the NHS where it was like an internship, being able to go and have contact with and work with leaders within the NHS at a regional and national level.
Working with good mentors, with good leaders. Okay.
I cannot be all the time, go somewhere else and be around. So maybe also sometimes some e-learning module where you have some theory or some books you have to read, because it's not always possible to go on exchange there and do an internship there and do something like this. It's just like on the weekend.
Except if you want to become an international leader, I'm not sure if exchange can teach you something. But if I go and NHS services, I will go back to France and be just like, I can really do the same because we're not working the same way. So,
But you will be able to see things maybe in your country that no one sees because they're used to working in some way, and you will come and say, hey, maybe we can do it this way.
yeah,
I don't know, maybe.
take myself on this effort. But I think like politicians are supposed to act that kind of way, and they know that I'm sure Prime Minister in UK know things about happening in France or in Germany. So I'm not sure me as myself doing an exchange abroad will bring something. I think maybe we could start with a basic level, like teaching leadership in practice first, because
I also think the program is not about how to learn how to change everything in your country, but how to have more and more skills to become a leader. And I think you can also learn it in another context just by experiencing other things. And that doesn't mean that when you go back to your own country that you can change everything, but just that you become a bit more confident. I think about leadership skills is not about how are you going to change the world immediately, but more about how can you become more and more confident in leading.
I completely agree, because what do you want to change in the big picture if you have people who want you to be the leader in your own practice? I mean, there you don't need to know how it's done in a different country or something, but just the other skills that are needed in a small environment.
So that's where you are also right on the point, like start with something basic and then
I'd like to get back to short-term things that you defined, like e-learning.
Yes.
What else could be done like this?
You could have local meetings, so maybe you could have 5 practices or 5 clinics that are in one town or one area. You could have a program where they meet amongst themselves to learn from each other about have some sort of curriculum or some sort of program that they follow. But they don't have to do it every day, but maybe like once a month they meet to work on the next stage of this program and they have a project all together.
And then probably quarterly meet with people from other places into some Skype calls and then compare what they have. For example, like we meet in Austria every month, and every quarterly then have a meeting with UK and Israel together and say, we develop this and this. It's also something with a little bit of time and money.
Then you already meet a lot of people who are involved.
Yeah, sure.
Because inspired and you should have it as a culture.
But you can start small. I mean, 3 people from 3 different.
And what do you think about the duration of these programs? Should it be long, or maybe 1 week is enough?
It always depends on how intensive you do it, I think. I mean, you have programs that are like 2 weeks, but every day 8 hours.
Yeah.
Then sometimes you have it like once a month and for 1 week, and there's some certain tasks. Then it would last for 2 years maybe, I don't know.
And you think if this intensive work for 1 or 2 weeks will be beneficial for the future leaders?
No, if it's
depends what outcome you're aiming for from
Yeah.
that program, because we're talking about all different outcomes. Right?
And if you come with a project, you can't do
You
the
can't do it
project
within
in 2
2
weeks.
weeks.
You have to see every month
Maybe
how
just for
it
the basic
goes.
learning it's 2 weeks, and then follow up like every 2 months.
Thank you for participating. Now we are going to report our outcomes and then talk about it all together. We can go to the middle chain.
Is that yours?
You need another type of skills of knowledge. Yeah. So, no, there's someone leaders, for that what would be leaders, but everyone wants to do something else.
So there are generic skills and then there are specific skills. So we can explore that as well. Okay.
I want to say burnout protection. Personally, well, maybe I'm wrong. I just say I don't think we really need something.
We have to wrap up. But we'll take it forward, we'll explore it. Sorry. Okay. You can take a chair back with you. That would be really helpful. Thanks.
I think everything we're doing is burnout protection. I mean, doing this or doing this is burnout protection.
Yeah.
That's
True, true.
That's not much specific.
Ça va. Maybe, Claire, we can put it in here because they're going to present here.
Okay. Thank you for your work. When we started preparing the workshop, we knew this is always a little bit disappointing that after talking to your colleagues, how you round up. You can say, okay, that is dealt with at the end of the workshop. But we chose to have the report back. But that means that we have to be short and not very extensive, otherwise we'll not make enough time and other people will say, that's what I heard. So I'll ask each of the groups to briefly present their part on characteristics of a leader. The group was sitting here at first, leadership. Who talks about, who wrote it? Yes.
Yeah.
Please, if you turn it around, people can see.
Yeah, there are just a lot of words. I don't know how to make a sentence of it, but yeah, I will quickly say so. Maybe I think the last ones were the most important, like be holistic and also to be informed, and to be informed, that was what we talked about in the beginning, that you need to know what you are talking about, listen to the population with whom you're working, and also be trusted by that population. I don't know. Is that enough, or?
I think people can see there's a long list of characteristics which were already mentioned partly when we talked about leadership. As the second group, which was sitting here in the middle, on that issue, something to add? characteristics of leadership. And you see your logo list of...
Yes, we wrote a lot.
Can you say that?
So we spoke about humble. I think for us. To read it? So we spoke about humble, about being a few communication skills like to be open-minded, to be good listener, to be reflective, to have emotional intelligent, to be innovative, practical, but though flexible and motivating and full of energy. Well, if you have part of this, if any leader will have part of this, it will be good.
Okay, thank you for that. The third group. Now we have already a longer list.
Sorry.
This is...
So we have a few of the ones that I think everyone has, but just quickly focus on the ones that there was actually some disagreement about. So we spoke a bit about being a good speaker, and then someone said, actually, do you need to be a good speaker, or can you just lead by quiet example? So do you need to be a big extrovert? And then the other one was, is a leader someone who is given the leadership, or someone who steps up and takes it for themselves? So there were our two kind of slightly similar points. But the rest are kind of, I think, what everyone else has got.
So the rest is more or less...
Yeah, pretty similar.
Okay. I'll share with you some of the items which come from the definitions in the literature. And as you can see, there are kind of things you already said. Vision creation, goal setting, forward thinking, competent, inspirational, integral, a role model was mentioned. Good communication, recognizes colleagues, motivated, is passionate, supportive, acts as a change agent, and as a team builder. So I think with the three things and this list, it's quite a list somebody has to accomplish to become a leader. Okay, now we move to the question, what kind of skills and knowledge is needed? I'll start with the last group.
Okay, so maybe first the skills of a good leader. It's a quite a wide variety. I think the most important ones are communication skills, because he has to not only have the knowledge, but also needs to be able to communicate it. But also be an empathic and humble person. He needs to understand the people he is working with. He has to make a lot of decisions, so he has to be able to, at the right time, make the right decision for this or that problem. And that is close to crisis management, because they often encounter many problems, and so they need to be able to take care of that as well. He needs to be fair and know his own limitations, but also needs to be able to present very well, needs to be able to speak for the people he is working with, and so he needs to be a group manager. And then the knowledge is also quite wide, I shall say. Not only in healthcare, he needs to know the professional, he needs the professional knowledge, but also he needs to think with finances, economical point of views. He needs to know who are the vulnerable groups in healthcare, who needs the most support, who is social most vulnerable, and needs to know also social determinants of health. And how the system works. Then I don't know what else is. And then some background about the different types of organizations, not only international but also national level, local level. So he or she needs to have an idea of that, so he's able to work with all of these organizations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This will become your group on the skills and knowledge.
So in terms of skills, it's actually very parallel to what we have already said in the characteristics, communication skills, etc. In terms of knowledge, it's always a question whether the leaders, how much knowledge in detail should he have, but of course he should have some from above about if we're talking about the healthcare system, so about public health and epidemiology. He needs to know the numbers, how many doctors, how many patients, how many beds, etc. He needs to know the politics, the forces, the hierarchy of the system. He needs to have in his mind a need assessment, where are the problems and where should he put his much effort. And he needs to have knowledge about management. He's not just a manager, he's a leader, but still he needs to manage groups, people, etc.
Okay, thank you. First group, the group here. What to add to that?
What to add, I think we focused a lot about the thing where the first group who presented ended, and that's about experience, about field work, about knowing what's going on in practice, not only know how it works, but also have been there, have experienced how it works. For the other skills, there was language I didn't hear in the other groups. You need a common language to speak in, to communicate. Deal with politics is also very important. Understand the economy, the policies, the philosophy of your country and your health system. And last thing, maybe long-term thinking, not only short-term. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Then the difficult assignment. What kind of training program would be needed? How would you think about that? And I asked Tom to be the first one on this topic. So what kind of program do you envision?
So we thought that I can summarize it maybe in three big things. The first one is to have workshop like this, leadership workshop, communication skills workshop, problem solving, assessment and giving feedback workshops. The other thing was to maybe dedicate a spot in each Vasco da Gama event, like a pre-conference before Wonka or a forum that was the amount of share that will be devoted to some kind of leadership skills, course, workshop from a list. And the last one was a continuous course that can be part of it online, part of it in forums like this.
Okay.
What? I forgot. And dollars.
We just email you, right?
The group, the third group there, for the ideas of training program.
Just to complete what I've been saying, we also talked about at the beginning of the training to shadow a leader, maybe just to discover maybe what can be a leadership, to get inspiration and to take time to analyze the experience. Another point we think it was nice to be in training was to get a mentor, as you have written actually, a peer mentor who can follow you during all the fellowship and make different steps in your training to see what skills you are at the beginning and how you are developing your skills during the training. And the other big stuff we have talked about in this training was to have a project and to realize a project from the beginning to the end of the training, to make concrete all the lecture and teaching and events they can discover during the training.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. And
Miguel. I have to add two things, I think. First, maybe the exchanges. We also propose to do a long-term exchange, like a one-year program, not only a day or a weekend, but really a one-year program in which you can see how other countries work, how health systems in other countries are organized, and also learn those leadership skills and management skills too, a little bit. And a second very concrete idea was to organize local meetings in every country on short term, but also on long term. Short term, maybe 1 day. Long term, in the beginning, start 2 weeks and then a follow up every 3 months. And the goal would be that those local meetings are organized in like a Skype session with other countries who did also their local meetings, and then on that Skype session you can compare what the other ones discussed about their leadership. I think it will work out because it's not too expensive and there's no money, and you can do it local but still extend it in a global way. Maybe there's something to do with it.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think I would skip now a few slides because, of course, we also made a list of things which we thought would be very necessary for a leader to have as a skill, but I think you all presented this already. On the knowledge part, we thought a little bit about more the international feeling and the structure of how the welfare organization functions, what WONKA is in all its aspects, the networks which work in a certain region, like the European Forum of Primary Care, the networks to a Unity for Health. So these are the partners in the healthcare politics session, which are also important to know about. And you should know a little bit about the background of why family medicine is important. And I call it the Barbara Starfield papers, and one of the other researchers which has done very good work is the Yannick Pringos to write about it. So you have this knowledge about healthcare.